And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Puzzle Strike: The Shadows. This is a standalone expansion for the 3rd edition of Puzzle Strike, but it also, it can be played by itself or it can be mixed with the original Puzzle Strike. Now in Puzzle Strike Shadows, I could go over the basic rules of Puzzle Strike with you, but I've already done that in other videos. So in this video, we're going to be taking just a look at some of the stuff that comes with this. Essentially, there's no new rules here. It's just new characters and new chips. Look at it. I'm not going to talk about how to play Puzzle Strike. For that, you can go back and watch my review of the Puzzle Strike original game, and there was a few rules changes in the original game. Now, this game does come with a rule book which very clearly explains how to play the game. It's a really nice explanation, and it comes with all the chips that you need to play the game. You do not need anything from the original game to play it. That being said, there are several new characters, and that's what probably a lot of people are interested in, is the 10 new characters that come in this game. And I'm not going to go over all these characters in any kind of detail because Puzzle Strike is one of those games that you really need to play dozens of times before you understand it. And so what I can do best here is show you the different characters that are in the game and kind of give you an idea. I think these characters are possibly a little more complicated than the 10 that are in the original game. Like, let's say, for example, we take a look here at this gentleman with the Shadow Plague. And he here has one of these chips. Whenever you discard this chip, you gain a wound. And whenever, you can use up its action to keep that chip, but still, that's a very dangerous thing to have in your hand. Why would you want a negative chip? Well, it's because his other chips, or her other chips, I suppose, are better. Gwen's chip here with +1 action, +1 red action, +1 chip. That's a great chip to have as a starting one. And over here, +1 brown action, +2 chips. And you can have each opponent discard a chip. Very much in your face attacking, but it's made up by a chip here that's a -1. And because that chip's kind of negative, I have noticed that a lot of the chips in the game that you discard chips now specifically make mention you can't get rid of character chips. Underneath that Gwen is probably my favorite character, Trock, just because I really like his Beast Unleashed, because when he's starting to get down, when his gem pile is at least 6, he has a really powerful chip. And also Giant Growth, which doesn't necessarily feel like Giant Growth, but I just like the idea of him. And then, a Rocket Punch. That's pretty cool. Over here, you can see there's a really neat ability over here that this character has. And this is Into Oblivion. And I don't know how to say his name, Maniker. But he can take a whole bank stack from the game. Now, he can take another bank stack from the game later on. But if there's something that helps your opponent, that's a really useful ability to have. And up here, I like the acrobatics skill that this person with the green chips has, Vendetta, which is a cool name. Basically, I can choose two different colors that I can play. Very nice and interesting idea. Now, the healer here, Gloria, she's an interesting character. She reminds me of the philanthropist from Cosmic Encounter, and the fact that a lot of her stuff helps the other players, but hopefully helps her more. And that's an interesting character to play, certainly not one that I would give to a newcomer. So this is just basically kind of a quick look at the characters, and like I said, I didn't go into any kind of detail, but there are 10 new characters. The game also comes with boards, just like the Puzzle Strike 3rd edition, although that edition has nice green ones. This one has a shadow. And while the 3rd Strike edition comes with purple bags, this one comes with blue bags. Yes, those are purple. The color coding here is probably a little off. But let's take a look at some of the chips that come in this game. there are a lot of new chips that come with this game. And again, I'm not going to be able to go over all of them, but maybe when you look through this, you'll see some that are pretty neat. There's another 12 cost chip where you can ante up to 3 4s, and then you get a +1 action and a plus chip for each one. So hopefully when you pull this, you can then shoot those at your opponents. It's a pretty powerful chip, but also a little bit dangerous to you. This Ouch is a chip that I like quite a bit, where you can shoot 1 gem at every other pile. Then each person has to trash a combine from their discard pile. So that's a very attack style type of something to go after. And so here's just a scratch. That's one I like a lot. Each opponent gets a wound, or I can get rid of one of my wounds. So there's some pretty neat chips that come through here. Some of the chips are more difficult to work with, I guess would be the word would say. Like this one here. This is an interesting chip. If your gem pile's 4 or less, 2 actions and 2 chips once per turn. And that's great at the beginning of the game, but as the game goes by and your gem pile's 5, 6, 7, 8, it's worthless to you. Now, maybe you can still manipulate your pile to use it, but it looks fantastic, but it starts the game. So it's a pretty neat one that begins the game. I do like this one here, now or later. I can take 2 chips, or I can trash a wound, or both from your pile. There are a lot of what I would call basic chips in here where they do simple things, and there's a lot of blue and red chips. Don't worry that there's not a good combination of chips. X copy is another chip I like a lot, where I can choose a chip, a crash gem or double crash gem in my hand, and play it twice. Very, very useful. I love the doubling cards or chips as they are in this game. Oh, and the signature move is one I thought is a lot of fun, because you can go through your bag or pile and look for one of your character chips. If you'd like to use your character chips, signature move is a great idea. And then safekeeping and this one true style and button mashing. Button mashing is an interesting one. It gives you 2 actions and then trashing the chip. I'm not sure I like that. I mean, it's neat, but then you have to get rid of this chip for a double action. But then, like I said, there's your basic actions, punch, punch, kick, and axe kick. Chips for free, color panic, pick your poison, degenerate trasher. That's an interesting one. Trash up to 2 chips from your hand. Can be very useful, especially later on in the game if you're trying to get a mean lean. And then a gray chip. It's not any color, but you can play it as if it was any bank chip of cost 5 or less. And then you can trash the chip. So lots of interesting things, chips that are included in this set. And there's really not a lot more to talk about the set. Like I said, if you want to know how to play the game, you can see the new characters here, and you can see the new chips and everything. But you can look at my other review. I just wanted to talk about this as an expansion. I mentioned this in my Puzzle Strike 3rd edition review, but there's also a book that you can get, a strategy guide that has everything from the original set and everything from Shadows. So if you're wondering how to use some of these characters from the Shadows set, and you're looking at them and you say, well, how do I use General Animaro? Well, this tells you how his chips work and gives you different strategies on how to use the different chips, overviews, the strengths and weaknesses, who he's good against, some general tips, who he likes to fight, who he doesn't like to fight, and so all the different characters, the BBB, Baal, Baas, Beta. Who names these things? But anyhow, so this strategy guide is something if you want to get more into the game, this is what you want. There's not a lot more for me to say about this. As with the original game and with the 3rd edition, it's very high quality. Having 10 more characters, woohoo! Having more chips, yeah! I mean, that's exciting because the combinations are just huge now, and there's a lot going on. It felt like these characters were a little bit more complex than the original characters, but not so much. This is already a bit more complex of a game, I would think, than Dominion and other games of its genre. One of the issues that you're going to run into likely is storage. Right now, if you really are into Puzzle Strike, you're going to buy 3rd edition and you're going to buy the Shadows expansion, and you're going to want to store them. Now, this is a fairly heavy thing. Oh, let's weigh it. All right, so we look there, and that says 8 pounds and 4.5 ounces. Or 3.756 kilograms. So heavy! And if you add the strategy guide, now it's 4.1 kilograms and almost 9.5 pounds. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take everything out of here and out of the upgrade kit and put it into bags. I'm going to get rid of the tray. It's really nice, but it takes up room. And I'm going to try to fit everything in one box, in this box itself. It'll still be a pretty heavy box, but at least it'll be smaller. I don't think I would buy this game over this one, because this one's a little simpler. So if you're going to buy just one, get this. But if you buy two, of course you can only buy two, but if you like variety and you like tons of extra chips, then you most certainly want to get the Shadows expansion because it adds a lot of variety. Instead of 10 characters, now you have 20. And that's a huge thing. And that's one of the neatest things about the game, is that each person has their own chips that they can use in combat and such. So I like it. I'm trying to find a very economical way to put them together, but hey, the Shadows are fun.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.